Hi and welcome to Software Inc. Elite Distributors Incorporated. Today we're going to talk about a little bit on how to make some money in hardcore mode on Alpha 11. I have about maybe, I want to say 500 plus hours in the game. I've been playing the game pretty well since its first release in 2017. But right now, as you can see, I'm actually kind of just, I've selected my mod, the Expanse Mod there. We're playing on hard mode. You start out with $10,000. And of course, you got to name your company and then pick your skills. I'd really recommend going with the skills that I've selected here. So that way you really have a good grasp on being able to do things while you're doing contracts, while you're in the alpha stage of your software development. It's really important that you select these skills. It'll definitely help you out, and it'll go pretty quick. And in hard mode too, your development time is also based off of your skills, but it also slows down in hard mode too, especially in impossible. It goes a lot slower. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and select the garage here and get things started. And this is just straightforward here. You don't really have to stick around for this part of the video. This is just some of the building, and for the most part, it's pretty downright simple. Just make sure everything is good, the effectiveness is good, making sure you have all of your environments good, your lighting, of course your acoustics and your decorations and stuff like that. And then as we get into the very first part of this, make sure you select your team. Make sure you select it minus 1 hour, plus 1 hour, because your employee or CEO will not be affected by these hours, which is really benefit to the game for yourself. So after you do that, make sure you select the month of June or May, depending on where you're at on your software development and when you're thinking you're going to hire your marketer. And I'll tell you that this is a very good pro tip, because if you hire the month prior that they come in, they will not go on vacation throughout your software development. Plus, it'll help you out with your marketing, and that way they don't take a break and stuff like that. So with all that said and done, just make sure everything is good to go. And then once you're ready, just go on to the next month and start accepting your contracts. As right here, I actually forgot to, I think when I got to the next month, no, I don't think so, not on this one. But basically what you want to do is also select a server for you, so that way you can put all your stuff for your contracts and on your software development. And it'll allow better coding for your products. And as you can see, the way the settings that I have, he actually blows through these contracts pretty quickly. And I just realized I forgot to put a computer down too, as I was doing this, and was getting ahead of myself while I was recording this, and didn't realize why I was sitting there with his feet kicked back up. So on the hard stage for these contracts, you want to be able to, you want to get outstanding on all of your contracts. I think there was one contract here where I didn't get it, and I was pretty perplexed about it. But on hard mode, you need to iterate at least 3 times on your contracts to get outstanding. You can still have you can actually still release it without meeting the minimum requirements, but your iterations have to go 3 for you to get outstanding. Otherwise, you'll get inadequate and your stars won't fill up as fast. And the stars are pretty important with getting the applicants that you definitely want, especially with your energetic and optimistic traits that I have on here, which makes it really easy for the person that's working with you to be compatible. A couple of little side notes. You don't have to make yourself a leader just yet, but just make yourself a leader before or after you hire, but before they get there the next month, because the compatibility is what really helps us out. And when you get into the second phase of this part, as far as the software development, make sure, even though that they're in the same room, yes, that's great, but close proximity, what I've also noticed is that their speed of how they work decreases with close proximity to the next programmer. And so I put my marketer in the separate room, and I moved my server and the canteen out by my guy because he's not really affected by anything. And I decorated the room, of course. But as you can see, we're kind of blowing through these contracts. It's really important for the first couple of months to get some of your income up, and you want to get 2 stars before you start working on your software development. And this goes in handy, at least gives you a chance to get some good money to start out with, to go a couple of months without having to do contracts while your software is being developed by your founder. So as you can see here, the Expanse Mod, I'm starting off with Office software and a publisher. So there's none on the market, and this allows us to do it. It takes approximately 2 years. I think it's April. So it takes about 18 months for this to be developed. You don't have to select the same ones that I have right now, but it's very, it's kind of, tit for tat. You can pick what you want. But try to go with a combination that's going to yield you a high interest. Don't use an existing framework, and don't use a new one for your first one. I can't remember if I used audio or not. I think I did deselect it because right now I think it's at approximately 3 years. And I was like, okay, we can always develop that second one with an audio, even though we have the opportunity to use it. So I end up naming my software. As you can see, I realized the audio tool, there's nothing compatible, so that's why I was like, okay. So I ended up taking it off. And it's pretty straightforward. It's also going to warn you that you've chosen a project for a small size. You definitely don't have to worry about that. Just go with it. And if you have a little bit of wasted interest, you can hit auto balance, and it'll automatically go to the highest one. It'll erase some of that wasted interest for you. So basically, after you get this done, you're going to kind of have to make some choices. You don't necessarily have to do it like I did it, but you're going to have to make choices on when or when not to do contracts. And that comes to the play of kind of micromanaging and putting stuff on priority and going from there. So you don't have to necessarily do exactly what I did here in these upcoming months of contracts, but it'll make it really, it's feasible. You just have to micromanage for a little bit on this so that way you can make a buck. So I'm going to let you watch the video here for a little bit, and we'll go from there. All right, so we're back. I'm here. I actually ended up just kind of trimming out the rest of the stuff. Everything seems pretty self-explanatory as far as doing contracts and everything like that. And so right here, what I'm looking for is great compatibility and something that matches my my traits. Now, I think I rolled it 3 times, so be careful. You only have a limited amount of funds, and luckily I think I got it on the 3rd try, or it might have been the 4th one. Excuse me. But I ended up grabbing the one that I was able to. I think, I think I do it 4 times here. But I ended up finding a marketer that had level 2 marketing along with extrovert and optimistic. So I was pretty lucky not to run out of funds. So I think I did it 5 times. Good Lord. Don't even remember doing that. But be very careful, and that's why I said doing the contracts is very handy here, because you're going to need money to be able to find the hiree that you want. And like I said before, you definitely don't need to put the person in this separate room, but I do it because I've noticed, I have noticed the sluggish of the slow downness, I guess you could say, from the programmer sitting next to somebody, especially with either they're not a programmer, or I really haven't done a lot of testing on it, but I've noticed when I have done this a couple times on a previous couple of playthroughs, that the programmer seemed to be slowing down very noticeably. So I ended up putting them in separate rooms, and I put my server and canteen and my vending machine in the same room as me, so that there is no problems with them getting something to eat and stuff like that. They'll still be able to meet their needs and stuff like that. So right here, basic what I'm doing is just making it all nice and sheery, so their environment's really nice and neat. So that way when they do. So as you can see, I hired them in the month of April, and I do believe I went in there and reselected. So if you hire them in April, they won't get it there until May, but you definitely, so the month that they get there, that's going to be their anniversary, which means that's the month that they're going to go on vacation. And make sure that you change roles on the marketer just to service only. As you can see, vacations May. I trimmed out the part where I changed that. So whatever month, because I already knew what month I was going to hire them, whatever month that they're going to come in, that means that's going to be their anniversary. So that way at least they have a full 12 months to work with you before they go on vacation. But they're only going to be needed for about 6 or 7 months anyways, because I end up firing the marketer. Spoiler alert, by the way. Because it's not needed. And once you make your big money, you're going to end up moving. You're going to end up moving away anyways. So it's definitely really kind of not needed. And like I said before, you need to kind of take it into consideration while you're developing this, including with your marketing, when to do a contract. So that way you can keep yourself afloat before you take your loan and get ready to go big time. So as you can see, I'm changing the priority by clicking the arrows to the top right on the right hand portion of where your menu is, or I guess your user interface for what product you're developing. There's a very few things that I kind of end up doing, and it just helps me out keep the money afloat. Don't really get too concerned if it says you're heading for bankruptcy. Just kind of, you know, take it in stride and see how much you have before you really have to do anything, and how much bills you have, how much the salary is. I will tell you that if you select a high marketer, you definitely, it'll put a strain on your finances, because what's going to happen is that one contract a month won't be able to keep up. And as you can see, one contract a month, I think with what I'm doing here, keeps up with the salary demand and everything like that. So there's that. Now, what I was just checking for right there is checking out what chance I have to fix any bugs for the alpha stage. But I will tell you that you do not have to have that on your founder, because he'll be able to fix bugs anyways. And it's definitely not needed for a programmer. Somebody that's a non-programmer, if you put them in programming as a designer and you level them up in programming, they'll be able to fix it. But I think it just doesn't apply to the CEO, because I think he automatically knows how to fix bugs and everything like that. So right now, we are just getting a couple of warnings here. I really forgot about the IT thing the month prior. I really don't like to see that message prior to. But you can go 18 months, I believe, without having to call cleaning or IT. Maybe not cleaning, especially if you hire somebody else a little bit different or earlier in the ball game here. So now I'm starting to kind of critique myself here as far as how much time we have left, because we have like 4 months before the release, and this is where I figure out, okay, so I'm gonna need to help myself out and prioritize the marketing here with my teammate. So I end up changing my my service role, or my roles, back to service, and what I help him out a little bit, and I also crunch time, which I think it's about 2 months that they're good. Their effect, the effect doesn't last too long, and since I'm firing them anyways, it's really not going to matter. It's not going to matter at all, because he's going to be gone, or she. I don't even remember if it's a she or not. But don't worry about hitting crunch time. You're just sacrificing their satisfaction for a couple of months, and it really doesn't apply to them. So as you can see, since I prioritized the press release, it's going up a lot faster, and I'm getting it done. Your press release here, your market for your text and your pictures are paramount. You need to make sure you completely fill this up and then release it, get a few followers, and start going out here. Also, there is a time where you're going to need to take a loan just because of the proximity of when it needs to be released and when you want to push it into release as far as promoting it. So right when this is done, I release it and then I fire my marketer. I also do a press build, which will also give me more followers for the next month. And sayonara, thank you for your time. Have a nice day. Thank you for helping me market my product. So now it's just me, and make sure you go back to your roles. You don't really have to uncrunch it. It doesn't really apply. And then once it's at 100%, do a review. You should be around 9.0 and up. If it's not that, then you did something wrong. Or whatever, but you should be right around that. It's going to be a great product because it doesn't hit 9.7, which is kind of unfortunate. I was really hoping for an outstanding product, but as you can see, now we have enough money to really kind of push things. Don't really worry about your loan payment. You'll be able to get that. You'll be able to pay that off in about 2 months' time after you release your product, because you're going to be making about approximately 2 million plus. Which is pretty nice, and that's another spoiler. I made some pretty good money on this product. So this is pretty much it. I'm fixing the last bugs of the month, and as he gets ready to go home, I release it. Don't market it because it's not really worth it at this point, because you're going to end up moving and getting a marketing team. And once it's done, release it. Print your copies. I always save my game just because of the fact I like to see the simulation part as far as the RNG. But for the 3 out of the 4 times that I've done this, or actually, excuse me, 4 out of 4, I've made 2 million plus. So it's pretty much guaranteed. So print your copies. You can go anywhere from 100 to 150. I just went big, and then I saved my game again, and then voila. Hope you enjoyed this video.